charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. So today I wanted to walk you through the process of how to print and cut and punch your own inserts at home. And specifically, of course, I'm talking about the process that you would follow to print and cut and punch inserts that come from my shop, thecharmedshop.com. As you may know, I recently launched the 2021 planner insert collection, and so I've got a lot of new people who are purchasing planner inserts from me, and some of you, it's your first time, and some of you may be purchasing again after previous years and enjoying inserts in previous years. But this year, something that was new is that I have completely reformatted my inserts to make the printing process even simpler. And so I thought it would be a good idea, and you guys asked as well, for me to do a video on the printing process. Now, just to be clear, for any of you who have purchased my inserts either this year or in the past, I always include a set of very detailed print instructions. So there is like a PDF that you receive when you purchase my inserts that walks you through how to print inserts. But hopefully, seeing these visuals, I'll be able to answer some more questions and give you guys like a real life example of me printing and cutting and punching the inserts. So without further ado, let's jump in to this video. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about in this process is what you're going to need in order to complete this process from start to finish. Now, obviously, the first thing you're going to need is actually a file from my shop or whatever file you're working with. I'm hoping that this tutorial is universal enough so that you could use it with other planner inserts, but I cannot actually guarantee that this works with anything more than the inserts over at the Charm Shop. So you're going to start with a PDF file, obviously, that you have purchased, and we're going to get to a screen share in a moment. So I'm going to actually walk you through how you do the printing. But first, I want to talk about all the things you need. So you need a PDF to actually print to begin with. Then, of course, you need paper. And I know this is going to sound a little crumply. I get a lot of questions about the types of paper that I use. And as a general recommendation, I think that the best sort of papers to use are anything from 24-pound to 32-pound paper. So the poundage actually refers to like how thick the paper is. And the higher the number, it means that the paper is thicker. So really, when it comes down to choosing the paper that you're going to use, there is a little bit of personal preference that goes into this. And I would say that you might want to consider whether or not you're the kind of person that wants to be able to fit a lot of inserts in their planner, because obviously thicker paper means less pages are going to fit into your planner, or if you're someone who uses like very heavy inks like fountain pens or a lot of highlighters or even stickers, right? Because you might think that those sorts of things, like if you want to use some heavier duty inks or even stickers very heavily on your pages, you're going to want thicker paper for that so it doesn't bleed through, so that it doesn't tear, so that the weight of the paper can really hold up to hold a lot of stickers as well. But again, this is completely personal preference. And for me right now, the paper that I'm using, I've changed this throughout the years as well. So if you guys have seen videos of me in the past where I said a different weight of paper, this is all, like I said, personal preference. But right now I'm really into this 24-pound paper. This is a piece, this is, a pack from Staples, but I get them from everywhere. You can get them anywhere. So I'm using 24-pound, and I always recommend as well to get the highest brightness you can get. And this one is 98 bright. That seems to be like the highest brightness you can get for like printer copier paper at, office supply stores. So right now I'm using 24-pound paper. I don't use a lot of heavy inks. I just use ballpoint pens. As you guys know, I'm not a big sticker user either, although I do use some stickers. I'm not very big into covering my entire spread with stickers. And I do use non-alcohol based markers, so they pretty much don't bleed anyway. But with the 24-pound paper, I will say, if I write a lot on a piece of paper, yeah, you're going to see a little bit of ghosting behind it. So if you don't like that, you may want to go up to a higher weight paper. I used to use 32-pound paper religiously, but it can be a little bit thick. You don't get as many inserts into your planner when you use thicker pages. So, these are payoffs. You have to decide the pros and cons for yourself. But of course, you need paper. And another thing I want to mention about the paper is that this entire process is intended to be followed using the full sheet paper that is kind of applicable to your area of the world. and or the size inserts you're trying to produce. So for me, I live in the United States. Our standard full sheet of paper is US letter, like a full sheet of US letter paper. If you live in Europe or abroad, it may be A4 paper. It might be the standard for you. And for me personally, I am usually printing my inserts in half letter, which means that when I follow this process, one piece of letter will produce two individual pages of half letter. And then if you're someone who is using A4, if you're doing the half of an A4, there's an A5 piece of paper. So if you start with A4 paper and you cut it in half, you're getting two A5 pages. So that's something very important to note as well. So I'm not talking about any other sort of custom paper sizes. Some printers allow you to put in custom pages. I know some people print onto like blank sheets of pages that have been cut down to like A5 or a half letter or personal or other sizes, but that's not this tutorial, right? So we're starting off with full sheets of paper, whatever coordinates to either the paper that you're using in your country or the paper, the ultimate, insert size that you're trying to accomplish. And just another note on, I guess, the page sizes, all of the inserts vast majority of the inserts, I should say, in my shop print personal, half letter, A5, A4, full letter. And now you can also, because of the reformatting, print in any off sizes. For example, the Happy Planner standard size. I know that's a question I get asked a lot. Anything that you can print onto A4 or full letter, you're going to be able to adjust the print settings to do that. So that is what I need to tell you about paper and paper sizing. Now, of course, next essential element you're going to need to have is a printer, right? So I've got my printer behind me and it is an HP OfficeJet. Let me check the number. 9025. I will, of course, leave links down in the description for all the things that I show you today, whatever I can find, and as many helpful links as I can. Obviously, you're going to need a printer. Now, my printer happens to be an OfficeJet, which is a duplex printer, which means that it will print double-sided. Now, you do not need a duplex printer to print my inserts. So I'm going to actually show you how to do that today without having to have a double-sided printer. Yes, it helps, but it's not the be-all and end-all. It's not, you absolutely have to have a duplex printer. You can achieve the same outcome on a printer that only prints a single side at a time. It's just a slightly different process. I'm going to show it to you today. Also, other things you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need something to cut the inserts if you're not printing just directly onto full size pages and leaving them full size. So you're going to need something like a paper trimmer. Now, I highly recommend a paper trimmer, and specifically, I recommend one where the flap, right, is actually clear so that you can see the lines of the pages so that you can clearly cut your pages. This one is also great because it has the measuring tool on it. I also recommend something like this. It just makes it so much easier to line up your pages. Like I said earlier, I usually print half letter, so it's easy for me to just line this up to the 5.5 mark, I believe is, 5.5 inch mark is where I end up cutting my pages when they're in landscape. And I'll show you how to do that obviously in this video, but you're gonna want a paper trimmer. You could use scissors, right? Or you could use a straight edge and a ruler or something like that, but I just highly recommend this. Makes it so much easier. Then of course, last thing you're definitely gonna need is a punch. So some form of punch that works with your binder system of choice. Right now I'm using a disc bound system. So I have my ARC heavy duty disc bound punch that I've owned for several years. These can be a little bit pricey, but if you get a good one, it lasts for years. And it's one of the most important investments, I think, if you are a planner user who prints their own inserts, or at least likes to customize your planner with, different pages and things that you might find, here and there. It's a really great investment. I've had mine for, oh geez Louise, at least since 2015, right? Probably before that, honestly, but yeah, so we're talking, this has been 5 years going on strong, no issues with it. Of course, if you're not someone who uses disc bound, you might be someone who uses like a Filovax or Franklin Covey, and so I have one of these as well. I'm not going to be demonstrating it today, but this is an adjustable punch for 6-ring binder systems. That's handy as well, and there are, I'm sure, many other different systems that I'm actually not going to be able to touch on in this video, but yes, you're going to want to have the actual punch that is compatible with the binder that you're creating inserts for. So that's very important as well. So with those sort of essential elements kind of laid out for us, right? Let's go ahead and I'm going to actually walk you through what you're going to do on your computer to print out the inserts properly. Okie dokie. So now that you are ready to go ahead and print your inserts, the first thing that I want to make you aware of is that for my inserts, I highly recommend that you use the Adobe Acrobat Reader as the program that you use to actually print your inserts from. Now, this doesn't mean that you absolutely have to use this program. There are probably other programs that will help you print the PDF files appropriately. But for this tutorial, this is what I'm using. And I always recommend this software because it is a free download online. So most people are going to be able to get access to this. I also say that I do recommend that you use a computer as opposed to like a phone or a tablet to print, because I think that you get the full range of options. And again, because I'm going to be using my computer, I just want to make sure you have a one-to-one equivalent as you follow along this process as well. I can't guarantee that the process is going to be the same across, different PDF readers or across different devices. So, okay, so as a example here, I've got my 2020 Charmed Life planner here, the inserts for that. And I'm just going to shrink it down a little bit for you guys, just so you get a little bit better view on the screen share. But the first thing that you're going to want to do when you have your actual PDF, right, that you're going to be printing as inserts, is you want to be very clear on what the range is of the pages that you're printing, right? So what are the actual pages of this file that you're printing? For some inserts, the files may be, and this is the way it is in my shop at least, some inserts you'll buy one file and it will have just one insert, maybe one design or maybe a front and a back design. So it's very clear what you're going to be printing, and you may just be printing, a number of copies of that same insert. But for some other files in my shop specifically, you may be choosing to print only a selection of inserts. So that's actually what I'm going to show you how to do today, is just kind of do a selection of inserts to help you kind of understand the way this process works, so that you know what to expect when you're printing things out. So what we'll do right now for this example is I will go ahead and just select like in sort of like an easy sort of range for us. So I'm going to skip all this in the beginning, the planner stuff in the beginning, and we'll start at the calendars. I think that makes the most sense. Okay. So you can see here, this is the first page of the calendars. It says that it's page 13. And so I recommend when you're reviewing the pages that you want to print, get a piece of paper and a pen out and just make a note of the pages so that you don't lose track of what you are printing. So I'm going to start printing with page 13. And let me see what else I've got going on here. We'll print like a whole section of calendar here. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. This is January. Let's see. 21, but that makes an odd amount of numbers. So one of the things that I like to think about when I'm printing, choosing a print range is, when you're looking at the first page of that range, that's going to be the first page, which means it's going to be, when you're putting it in a planner spread, that's going to be on the right-hand side of the spread. So this calendar is going to be, because it's the first page I'm going to choose in this range, that's going to be the right hand. Then when you flip that page over, this will be the left behind it. This will be the start of a new page on the right, and then this will be behind it, and so on and so forth. So when I go down to page 21, which is the end of the overviews, then I still have a page remaining behind it, basically, so that I can make it an even spread. So sometimes what I'll do is I will I'll find a blank page, right? So this page number 12 is the blank. So I could say that I'll print 13 to 21, and then I'll print page 12. And then that would at least give me a nice clean break. Something else you want to think about as well is that with the number of inserts, because I'm going to be showing you how to use the booklet function, there will be 4 pages, 4 facing pages will come out printed on both sides of one single sheet of paper. So with this, I think we're looking at not 4 pages, I'm looking at 6 pages total. So there's going to be an extra page that's going to be front and back blank, which is not a problem. It's just something I like. I try to, when I'm printing, print 8 pages just so that everything is kind of even, if that makes sense, so that I'm not wasting any paper. But that's, again, a personal preference of mine. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick with this actual range for now and walk you through that. So when you actually know the range that you want to print, you're going to go ahead and go to the print icon, select that, and then this dialog box will pop up. And the first thing we're going to do is go over to pages to print, and we're going to actually type in the range. So like I said before, we're going to do 13 to 21. And then I'm going to also add page 12, okay? And that is going to be the print range. Now, under page sizing and handling, usually it would default to this option here, size, but we're going to go to booklet because we're going to be printing a booklet option. And I'm going to show you how to do this on how to set this up for a duplex printer first. And then I'll show you how we will print it for a non-duplex, so a printer that does not do double-sided. So once you have the range up here, you're going to go to booklet under page sizing and handling. The booklet subset for now is going to be both sides. Binding is going to be on the left. That's normal. Orientation, portrait. And then what I do is I go down to this page setup option. Another box pops up. And I choose the paper size US borderless. Now, this is a custom size that I have added in to my listing. So whatever your paper that you're going to be printing on is, I highly recommend it. Like I said before, it's either going to be US letter or A4, right? I could go in and change to A4 if I wanted to, but I don't have A4 paper, so it's not going to print proportionally properly. What I do is I created the US borderless option by going into manage custom sizes. And you can see here what I did was I entered the paper size of 8.5 wide, 11 inches height, and then the margins here I put at 0. So that meant that essentially a borderless means I'm not giving any default borders for the limitation of where it can print in the printer. So that's very important so that I get the largest inserts possible printed out, so that the design is as whole as possible, essentially. So US borderless is going to be selected for me. Okay. And then if I hit print right now, we're going to get a double-sided print. But right now, we're not going to print. I'm not going to actually print this out right now because I want to actually show you the process of what you do if you do not have a double-sided. Because if you hit print right now, this is going to print out exactly as you want, and you're going to be good to go. So if you're double-sided, a duplex printer, you are good to go. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you change this if you do not have a duplex printer. So if you do not have a duplex printer, you still choose booklet, but the first thing you're going to do is choose front side only. Again, page setup, nothing should have changed, but I just want to make sure everything is there. I always double check. And then I'm going to hit print. But before I actually do that, I'm going to go ahead back to give you guys an overview of me. Okay, so we're back here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit print now. Nothing has changed. I just wanted you to be able to see what happens when the print happens. Okay. Printing is happening. Let me clear off my area here. Okay, so we've had some inserts that have printed over here, okay? Now, first thing I like to do is I want to keep an eye on the direction that these inserts are coming out at, right? So I know the way I need to reinsert them once I'm done. So I'm holding the top right now, okay? All I'm doing right now is dropping it on my desk, And I'm going to go ahead now and give you an overview. Okay, so now you can see that these are the inserts as they have come off of my printer. Now, all we have printed right now is the front of the inserts. So what we need to do before we reinsert these back into the printer is we have to reorder them very quickly. So whatever the first page is, this is exactly how I pulled them off of the printer. What I'm going to do is take the first one and put it down, put the next one on top of it, and then the last one on top, right? So I did a small range here as just like a test print to show you guys, but we have to invert or reverse the order of the inserts before we put them back into our printer, which is what I'm going to do right now. We'll go ahead and I will show you. I'm going to reinsert these into my printer. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to Adobe. And we're going to go back to the printing. And we have to re-enter the same information we had before. So this would be important for you guys to also make sure that whatever you entered in your range, to make sure you have it written down or copy and paste it to like a document temporarily so that you make sure that you're keeping everything consistent. So down under the page sizing and handling, booklet again, backside only. And again, I'm just checking my page. Is US borderless still? Excellent. And now I'm going to go ahead and print this. So the printing is happening behind me. Okay, so now when I take these inserts off, let me give you the overhead once again. Oops. Overhead, half, there we go. That's a good one. And I know you guys are upside down here, but I think you're going to be able to follow along with me. Now, the inserts, we can check to make sure that these are actually the right order, because if we put them in like a little bit of a booklet here, the calendar is the first page. Then behind it, the monthly start, the yearly tracker, the overview, more of the overview, and what do we have last is a blank page. And like I said, there was going to be one blank insert because I had chosen 6 pages and not 8. So that's fine. I'm not upset about that at all. Now all we're going to go ahead and do is we will go ahead and cut the inserts. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so, wrong way. I am opening this up, and I hope you guys are still going to be able to see everything that we're doing here. So I'm opening this up so that I've got my measuring stick here, essentially. Let me just go ahead and you know what? Let's just go full page with this. And I apologize, this is going to be in the way of my microphone. Okay, so because I'm printing half letter inserts, I'm just going to slide this in, and I'm going to go to 5.5, put this down so the pages are tight in there, and then I'm going to cut the page. Okay, now when I fold these back together, this becomes the booklet for the print for the inserts. Okay, so that is the cutting done. Then we will go ahead and get our punch out and make sure that my punch is set to the right setting for ARC or disc bound systems. Sometimes they're called junior, this size. The half letter is called junior size. So I have my junior setting on. Just putting these in, punching, and voila, now I have inserts. Right? And let me go ahead, I can turn this upside down for you guys. There we are. Now you can see it much better, right? So as we go through, we can see the inserts, right? And they're all in the proper order, and I did not need to print them duplex. I did this with single side at a time, right? I just recommend, and here's the extra bonus insert as well, just the blank. So I think when you do go to print, that I think it's very important that you work with small batches, small ranges of pages, especially when you're first getting used to the printing process, so you don't waste too much paper, and so that you're always able to kind of follow along with what's going on. There is a little bit of a learning curve to printing your own inserts, but once you get it, it's easier to visualize what the inserts are going to look like the more and more that you print things out. But hopefully seeing this entire process has made it easier for you to start visualizing the way that your inserts are going to come out, and hopefully you can follow this tutorial to also print and cut and punch your own inserts at home. Okay, so the final thing that I wanted to show you guys is the difference between the half letter and the personal size PDFs. So we have used the half letter to get this insert that we just printed and cut and punched. But the difference between cutting the half letter and the personal is that for the personal inserts, and I'm hoping you guys can clearly see this, there are cut marks that will print on the pages. So where you did need to use a measuring guide or a ruler in order to, make sure that you properly get the half of the letter to be half letter or half of A4 to become A5. Personal size always comes with these actual cut marks. So this makes it much easier for you to go ahead and cut the inserts down. So generally what I do when I'm doing these inserts is I will actually just take this whole page and I will cut it in half and then double up the inserts and just cut the 4 corners. But that makes it much easier to cut if you're using the personal size. But for that reason, I don't recommend sizing the personal size for anything other than personal because the cut marks are there, so it keeps the proportions. Half letter pages, on the other hand, do not have cut marks, so you're able to actually resize these in a couple of different ways. Like I mentioned earlier, happy planner sizes, you can actually print in happy planner sizes if you want to, using the half letter. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I actually have written instructions with pictures up on the shop, and I will link those directions in case you're trying to print for happy planner. But essentially you're going to be following a very similar process that we covered in today's tutorial. You're just not going to be using the booklet form. So I will leave those specific directions down below in case you want to print in happy planner sizes or any other size, like I said, that should fit onto US letter or A4 paper, whatever your standard is. So I hope that this tutorial has been helpful for you and has answered your questions and give you a little bit more reassurance that you can print your own inserts at home. Like I said earlier in this video and in other videos, this 2021 planner insert collection from the Charm Shop is even easier to print than any other set of inserts I have done in the past because of the reformatting. So yes, I totally acknowledge that it is a little bit of a learning curve in order to, start this whole process if you're new to it. Once you get it though, it is very easy, very cathartic, and I love just printing out my inserts and cutting them and punching them. It's kind of like a little crafty hobby for me to do and a nice way to spend some time. So I would definitely recommend it if you are someone who's new to it. And hopefully this tutorial will help. So please, if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. And of course, make sure to follow me all over the internet at MissTrenchcoat. Also, you can follow me on Instagram for more of the behind the scenes of my productivity, life, and business. And of course, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.